Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible, one brave word at a time around here. And today, to help me with that mission, I have some of the most amazing authors from a new book that we have coming out called EmbodyKind, a guide for authentic living. You guys, before I introduce you to these authors today, just want to say a really big thank you to Kristi Trader, who is our lead author of EmbodyKind. Kristi really came to me and she's like, this is a movement. And I can't wait to get this group of people together, to really share about this topic. And Kristi, thank you for trusting me with this. This is a big mission that you have, really big. And people are going to start to understand as soon as they start to hear some of these authors talk about this topic. It's powerful. I have Ann Trosin with me. She's a certified hypnotherapist with a passion for helping people tap into the power of their subconscious mind to make positive lifestyle changes. She uses alternative healing modalities, is intuitive, and works with both individuals and groups. I've got Dr. Lisa Thaler with me, board certified physician and CEO of Under the White Coat MD, an embodied coach for physicians and healthcare leaders desiring to be the emotionally intelligent, trauma-informed, powerful voices needed to shape and change the medical culture as we know it. And Mitzi is an intuitive who offers readings and energy healings. Mitzi Koors is with us today. I cannot wait to share you all with the world. You guys, thank you so much to all of you for being here. So Jane, you're going to start the party off today. Tell us about your amazing chapter.
Well, my chapter is called Reality Reset, using self-hypnosis to make positive lifestyle changes. And the way that I use it to embody kindness is to embody kindness towards yourself. And it's the first thing that I teach my clients is to take time out each morning. All it takes is 1 to 3 minutes. So it's short, it's powerful, it's concise, and it causes you to set the intention for the day so that every day you can have a reality reset if you need to, and make those positive, productive lifestyle changes on a daily basis, moment by moment. So that is basically what my chapter is about. And my practice actually takes you into the ability or the access that you have, that we all have within us, to tap into the subconscious parts of our mind to change our lives in a moment, in a heartbeat.
Powerful stuff. So I love that you're starting with, self-kindness, because obviously, you are the change, the way that you be with yourself and how you start within and with yourself matters so much. I chuckle sometimes when I watch people be intensely kind to everyone else in their world, but then when they open their mouths about themselves, it's something else. And you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't work, right? Tell me more about that.
Well, one thing that I do love about self-hypnosis, and one thing that I've noticed in my clients, is it really comes down to the breath and the heart. And when I have somebody who's having a hard time going into hypnosis, it's usually because they are a shallow breather. So the first thing that I teach them is to just start taking nice, deep, releasing or letting go breaths, and just to pull that breath right down into that heart center. And then when they do that, and being somewhat of an intuitive, then I can almost see the blocks that are around their heart. And I see it in a lot of different ways. I can see it in the form of, sometimes it's copper, sometimes it's diamonds, Sometimes it is just like somebody's chewing gum stuck around their heart. So I see different things. And being an intuitive is really helpful with hypnosis. And you don't have to be an intuitive, but you do know how to, you do need to know how to have to just take time to take those 3 deep letting go breaths, because that will center and ground you in the moment.
It's so awesome to remember that for so many reasons. Jane, thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Lisa, tell us about your amazing chapter. Oh, we got to unmute you, girl. She's talking away. There we go. Yay.
Thank you so much, Lauren. I'm just so happy to be here with Jane and Mitzi having this conversation. So my chapter is chapter 18, The Prescription for Kindness, Killing Conditioned Niceness in Medicine. This is really a power statement for me. This is really a declaration. What I see happen in my community of women physicians, healthcare workers, is that this idea of being nice, the deepest part of ourselves, the most loving and caring, it gets confused with being nice with a degree of self-sacrifice that actually has such a high cost, that what I'm seeing after the pandemic, that's what my chapter kind of was birthed from, my experience being a COVID frontline doctor, really troubles me. I see women leaving medicine. I see women leaving healthcare. I see women leaving nursing, because the best parts of ourselves, the parts that give and give and give, that help, that are so kind, are really being used against us in this definition of niceness and this kind of good girl conditioning, where we can't say no, where we try to please everybody, where we overwork and overgive until it feels like the only thing we can do is stop or have serious high costs to our personal lives and our health. So this was the birth of my chapter, my story, and what I wanted to share in this beautiful book that we've created.
When I was reading your bio, I was thinking to myself, man, I would have liked to have known her back in the day when I was in the bigger hospitals working as a physical therapist. And just there's something about those of us who say, yeah, I'll pick that career for the rest of my life, like doing all the things for everybody else besides myself, right? That's kind of what I was saying with Jane too. It's like, wow, it's got to start here. But that you hit, oh man, you hit something hard for me when you said conditioned niceness. Like, tell me, just go a little further on that.
Yeah, so what I believe and what I've found to be true is that part of it is our hearts. We go into these fields to help. We care deeply about our work. It's not just work for us. It's a calling. It's a vision. We want to be part of something greater. We want to be part in people's lives in a big way. And so the medical system, the healthcare system as we know it, kind of uses that, unfortunately, against us. They use that mission, they use those words to get us to commit more and more of our personal lives, more and more of our personal time, more and more of our energy, see more patients with less time, stay late, more vacation, less pay, no masks in my case with COVID. It happens kind of insidiously until I know what happened for me as I looked in the mirror and I was literally so exhausted I didn't even recognize my own face. And that's not the way this profession, these helping healing professions are supposed to go, in my opinion. We're not supposed to have success. We're not supposed to have passion at the detriment of our marriages, at the detriment of our health, at the detriment of our life force. It's not sustainable, and it's kind of using the best part of us, our kindness, and twisting it with this twisted idea of niceness, this good girl conditioning, what we have to be as women in the world to be accepted, liked, validated, and seen as worthy. We're so much more than what we do. It's who we're being as we're doing it. And that can really get lost in this kind of twisted conditioning that we learn. We swim in the waters of it.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here today, Lisa.
Where's
Well,
thank you for having me?
Well, and Lisa, I love that you said the conditioned part too, because my chapter starts out with what's wrong with you. And I think that we've heard that all of our lives. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Or what the hell is wrong with you? And instead, why don't we start saying, what's right with you?
Mm,
You know?
that'd be a good flip of that switch, that's for sure.
Mhm.
Mitzi, tell us about your amazing chapter.
I love following Lisa because I think it's very complimentary. The title of my chapter I chose to be Sitting in Your Shit. And so, following Lisa, where we're looking at giving internally, externally. And the focus of my chapter is taking a look at what's going on internally and all those deep, dark places that we don't like. It feels like shit. So my chapter is it's reflective of my life, what happens on the daily with the kids and the busy and the stuff, and we've all got past life trauma and just ick that follows us around. And what do we do with that ick, right? At some point we've got to sit down and look at it. The title actually came, there was a women's group that I was part of, and we used to meet monthly, and there was a good friend talking about all of her stuff and the discomfort and escapism and wanting to go do other things. And it eventually came down to a point where I think I must have said, because she brought it back to me later, sometimes you just have to sit in your shit. And that resonated with her, and something that she carried with her for years. And I like to come back to that myself and reflect on all of the goop that we don't like to see, and then also look at, what do we do with that? How do we sit with it in a compassionate way toward ourselves? How do we sit with it in a compassionate light toward what brought that into our space, the life lessons that we've learned, and then moving forward in the future, what do we do with that? How do we come into ourselves? How do we bring our consciousness into our body to read what's there? How do we see it? And so I think the seeing piece is something that I feel very passionate about, seeing myself, seeing others, and looking clearly before we start making any decisions or judgments about that.
And when you think about this, it's the only way to healing it. Also, it's the only way to clearing it. If you avoid it, then there's no opportunity.
Right.
And so sitting in the shit, I rhymed it and said pit, like my mud pit. Like when I'm at the bottom of my mud pit, so shit pit works too. Like, sometimes you just have to sit and understand what it is first. You have to give yourself permission to feel everything to be able to heal it. And that's the big thing about that. Anything else you want to say about that?
No, it's that beautiful partnership between feeling and seeing. And in order to see it, we have to feel it and then become neutral to it. And then we can kind of see it clearly and decide, okay, what is this? What is this doing? Anytime I'm doing a healing on someone else or myself, I sit first and look at it and look at all of the things. And as they come up deep, dark, scary, we're not automatically clearing those things, right? We're sitting with them and looking at them and asking them questions. So it's that beautiful partnership between feeling, seeing, and then determining how we want to move.
Thank you, Mitzi. Thanks for being here. Thank you to all of you today. Just a huge thanks for taking this project on, for saying yes to it, and really maybe without knowing what you're getting into, but just stepping up so brilliantly with the way that you share your vulnerable stories, so we have an idea of who you are and where you've been. Thank you for doing that. And also just stepping up with your master teachings. That It's what these books are. In last interview, we talked about radical collaboration. And I said, yes, this is what that is. Like, it's got a power to it. You are all such amazing teachers. And so our listeners, readers are going to have these beautiful toolkits in their hands, practical, powerful ways to make change right in the moment and that week and that month and that year of your lives. It's powerful. And I thank you all for really doing that with me. So Lisa, I want to start with you on this next question, which is really a simple one. What does EmbodyKind mean to you?
Yes, I love that. That was really, I work a very full plate. And so for me to take on another project, it has to really call to me. For me, there's been this idea that to have power, you have to be fairly ruthless, or that to be kind, you have to be fairly meek and self-assuming, self-sacrificing, and humble. For me, embodying kind is the most powerful version of humans walking the planet. Living in your own body, you're going to pick up sense and be able to connect with others and be so sensitive and have some deep, powerful relationships because you live in your own body and you inspire others to as well. We have so many people living in their heads, and that's where we get into trouble and we're unable to connect. And then being kind, separating it again from this niceness idea, but deeply being heart-centered and kind, where I do what works for me first, so that I'm giving from a full plate and I'm not resentful and I'm centered and I'm in my power. I encourage you to do what works for you. The kindest thing we could do is not change, fix, control other people, to let them be them. And then from that, we meet in the kindest, most powerful relationship possible. And one by one, we can change the world. And so I love both of those pieces. It spoke to me so deeply as the kind of leaders we need in everybody's field. I love everybody's story. Mine certainly in healthcare. We cannot afford to have the embodied kind humans leave medicine, in my opinion. This is a huge cost to everybody, and this really needs to be talked about. And these need to be the leaders in my field. So that's what I stand for. And then all the other healers that I got to meet through this project just so inspire me, because I do live in a hospital world, which is its own, kind of narrow focus. So I've loved the community that I've gotten to lean into.
Yeah, it is a narrow focus. Alien planet is how I would put it some days. It can feel like that. Thank you, Lisa. Oopsie, did we lose her?
Oh, no.
I know. Mitzi, how about you? What does EmbodyKind mean to you?
The embodiment, wow, that's such a buzzword now. And I love that this is part of a broader conversation. I don't think many of us live in our bodies. The kindness piece partners with that, but becoming aware of where you're sitting, where your perspective is. Am I outside? Am I inside? That embodiment of becoming aware of where you are within your space, within the world. That comes first. Until we understand where we're sitting, it's really hard to notice where our perspective is. Are we living within ourselves and speaking from our own voice, or are we speaking from the voice of all of the things that we encounter? And so embodying ourselves is, I'm thrilled to see this becoming part of just a natural practice, a daily practice for a lot of people right now. The kindness, I have to say I struggle with that a little bit, because I feel like the neutrality is kind of where I'm landing with it. And I think through a neutrality, through seeing things as they are, where everything stands exactly as it is in its perfect presence, that's where kindness is fed. That's where kindness flows through us, is when I am comfortable being me. I love that Lisa mentioned that too. I am where I am, and you are where you are, and those are perfect places to be. And there is nothing more kind than to acknowledge someone for exactly who they are, where they are in that moment. And so those two things partner really well in that I'm here in my space, and I acknowledge, validate, and appreciate where you are in your space.
I love that so much that I'm writing it down. If you guys ever see me scribbling like this, that's what I'm doing it. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, I am where I am. You are where you are. And those are both perfect places to be. That's a cool statement to just, dwell in for a minute. I love these topics so much, you guys, and we could talk about them for like hours and hours. Jane, what's your version of this? What does EmbodyKind mean to you?
Well, I love what Mitzi just said, but I do think it comes down to loving yourself. And if you cannot love yourself and find that love within yourself, you can't really accept anybody where they are. You have to accept where you are first. And then I think once you love yourself, then you are able to love others. So I think it starts with us. And I know that you, like me, we want to empower people. We want people to have fulfilling, vibrant, exciting lives. And in order to do that, you need to start with your own self-love. And then I think that you can be kind. When you're kind to yourself, you are able to be kind to others.
Yeah, it's we hear this a lot and we say it a lot, and when we really embrace the truth of that, how that creates awesome things. It's a very, very, very powerful. Thank you for that, Jane.
Yeah.
Yay,
Well,
you're back, Lisa. We thought we lost you.
yeah.
Okay, to all of you now, I want to think of our viewers today, the readers of this book and the people listening to you all today. And I want to really talk to them specifically. They're listening, they might be nodding their head, they might be hearing these topics for the first time, who knows, or an idea that you said might be a perspective that changes how they think, and that is awesome. And they might still be struggling like big time. Man, so many of us went through so much in this last bit of time, haven't we? So Mitzi, I'm going to start with you for this. And what's that message for our listeners today? What do you really want them to know as a easy stepping stone to get on this journey?
I think it's a similar message to so many of the authors. They're all just slightly different, but it's all. I feel like the lesson is to just sit, really just to sit in your space and feel what's there. It's really a simple message. There's as many ways of doing that as there are people doing it. But I think that message is just take time for yourself. Take that time to sit and whatever that looks like to you, just sit. We all focus on doing so many different things, and it's uncomfortable in our own skin. It doesn't feel good to be there a lot of times. There's a lot of stuff going on in there because we internalize everything from the outside, and we very rarely sit with our authentic, pure self without all that stuff in there. And so it's almost an active experience to pull those things out so that we can sit purely with ourselves and just enjoy that space, because we rarely just enjoy ourselves inside here. We're just so contaminated by other things. And so taking a practice to sit down, pull those things out and go, okay, this is it. I'm just going to sit. I'm just going to sit here and feel it. That's it. It's simple.
It is.
And so hard.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Simple idea that some days might feel
It
totally
does.
impossible, right? So
Yeah.
is meditation the way you practice?
It is. For me, it's a meditation. It's a visualization. I work with a lot of visuals, and so my meditation is partly just sitting. But I work with a lot of seeing things move. I'm active in healing myself and moving the energy out of my spaces and doing things that can modify physically what's going on in my energetic space. And so while I think just kind of like sitting and meditating to feel is important, also there are ways of taking that next step to move things out of your space, to like, let's actively move and heal these things. Let's get them out. Let's pull them out and look at them. Let's see what's there. Let's read what's in other people's space. What might I not want to bring into my space today? Seeing that it's there is important. All of these are intuitive kinds of, woo-woo stuff, but we've all got the tools. It's just taking the time to tune in your radio to what the frequencies are out there.
Yeah.
So it is
awesome.
a different kinds of meditation. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mitzi. Jane, what's your message to our listeners today? That thing that you want them to know, maybe just an easy stepping stone.
I would say that intention is everything. That whatever you set your mind on, and we all learned this growing up in school, if you put your mind to it, you can do it. Benjamin Franklin said it. So intention is everything. Set your intention for the day every morning. Have a morning ritual. I have a morning ritual every morning, and it includes my meditation. It includes my exercise. It includes a little journaling. So, and that's when I set my intention. So set your intention early in the morning, and then maybe at the end of the day, go back and look and see, did you succeed? Did you follow your intention that day? Or did you get off track? Do you need to be course corrected? I always look at solutions when we do hypnosis. We don't look at the problem. We look at where we want to go. So always focus on the solution and set your intention to get to that solution.
So I love intention as part of the practice. And we talked a little bit about meditation just now too. And I was asking Mitzi, what other way is your favorite way to practice your awareness, Jane?
I exercise every day. I walk. I get out, and usually in the first 2 hours of the morning sunshine. If I miss that, it messes my whole day up. And if I can't walk, I do 100 burpees.
Uh-oh.
That's my routine, and I do it every day. And if I, miss a day here and there, it's okay. But I try to do it like 5 out of 7 days. And again, that's part of my morning ritual. So
Yeah, that'll
Jane,
keep
you're
you
my
in shape.
burpee hero.
I know. I thought the same thing.
yeah.
Well, okay, so I hope that Lisa pops back in for one more minute. We'll see here in a second if she's able to come back in. But what I wanted to add in terms of my message is, some days you are just having a crap day and you hear a lot around you, be positive, think, go find your joy, think positively. And sometimes you just can't get there from where you are sitting in your shit, so we already talked about the fact that, maybe you just relax right there where you are. And I would add, the deep breath. You have heard people say breathe a lot today too, because that is foundational way to be here now, is to focus on the breath. But what I want to say about the jump from crap to joy is, when it's impossible, how about just moving the teeter-totter to neutral? Just to bring yourself to the breath and clear your mind. That is it. Like, it can be a very, very simple step. Don't make the feelings that you're experiencing mean anything. Clear your mind, right? And of course, this is another thing that's easy to say and some days really hard to do. But I found that when I practice that, the more and more I practice moving into a neutral space. And then, of course, just being thankful that I can take a deep breath, and sit in my shit if that's what's happening that day. Like, thank goodness I can actually be here now doing this. And I have, this beautiful roof over my head type of thing. And there's so many tools, you guys. Journaling is another one of my very favorite, not surprised. I'm sure that journaling is on my list, but walking in the woods, moving, all of those things. So ladies, does either of you want to add anything to the awareness conversation? What else?
I personally love that you brought it back to neutrality. I have this visual that I use quite often where we've got the positive on one side and the negative on the other. And with either one of them, we're climbing to get to that apex, right? Which is neutrality. It takes a lot of energy to be in either place, to either remain in that happy place or try to get to the happy place that we think we're moving up, or in the negative place where we're trying to climb out of. But it takes a lot of energy to remain in those spaces. And so that achieving neutrality it just exists. For people who have a lot of trauma in certain areas, the buzzwords around positivity and love yourself can be really difficult. When I hear those words, I tense up. It doesn't bring me any pleasure. For me, it's a lot of anguish and stress around those things. And so I'm finding the practice of validating where I am in my awareness, validating that space that I'm in is, for me, the most important place to be. That I'm able to move forward and heal if I can validate the spaces regardless of where they are, and say, okay, it's okay to be here, which brings that sense of neutrality, instead of trying to dig your way to the top, dig your way out of neutrality or into happiness, or out of negativity and into happiness. It's just you just are. It's just kind of a different space to be.
Mhm.
Yeah, less pressure there. What do you want to say, Jane?
I know too, also, if I am in a space like that where I feel like I can't dig myself out, sometimes I will just go general. I'll just, and when I say that, I mean, I just look around me and I look at what can I be grateful for in this moment right now. And then I will generalize it, but then spin off into different directions with that generality. Like, I'm grateful that I have a computer right now. I'm grateful that my sound is working. I'm grateful that I have a can of water here that I can drink. But I think going general like that helps you to take little steps out of that pit or out of the shit, so that you can climb up a little bit at a time, and one step at a time sometimes is all we can take. So you just take that one step. And even in my practice, I said, if you can't do all 3 steps at once, just take one of those steps. Just take those 3 deep breaths and stop and go general.
Yeah.
So that's
Really
my
nice. Really, really nice. All right. To our listeners today, if something that one of these authors said today just kind of made you buzz or got you curious, please drop on down to the show notes and click on their website, take a little exploration with them. They are so very generously here to answer your questions and help you take that next stepping stone and support and all of those things. So please do that. I've hooked you up with the websites below. Authors, thank you so much to both of you today, and to Dr. Lisa Tharler, who got kicked off a little bit ago. Thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone. Thanks, ladies.
Well,
Thank you, Laura. What an awesome platform to work with.
Yes.
Beautiful.
So last invitation to everybody is join us for our live stream book launch party for EmbodyKind. It's going to be on Friday, September 30th, 10 to 11 Eastern. That's going to be on the Brave Healer Productions Facebook page, which I've got down below as well. And if you happen to be listening to this show after that date, well, hop on over to Amazon, because that means EmbodyKind is ready for you there. And lastly today, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.